My mother was a teenager, so I don't think she even completed she didn't complete high school when she came to Israel, and she did some schooling while she was in Israel. What I know about her education in Baghdad was that she went to Alliance, and therefore she knew Arabic and she knew French, and then when she got to Israel she knew Hebrew. My father went to college in Baghdad and was very proud of it, and it was a source of pride for me as well as a kid. I always knew that my father knew fluent English, and he actually was the one that the Ashkenazi neighbors had to turn to help them with letters.
Well, my father was a well-known figure. He was a doctor. His name was Gurji Rabia, and he studied medicine in Baghdad. He was sent on a scholarship to England to get a specialty, and he practiced most of his life there. He left in 1966, not intending to leave forever, but the situation was such that he never went back after that. And my mother is born and raised in Iraq. She went to the American school. She has a high school degree.
The stories that I remember nicely is we used to get those, when I was growing up, we used to get those bottle of milk delivered to our door by the milkman. And on the top there would be this layer of cream. And I used to love to eat that, and my mother would say, "You're like me. I used to love to eat kemar."
Kemar, yes.
That's what I used to buy after school. And she would describe it in the most passionate, loving way, and I always, to this day, is so curious to know what kemar really tastes like.
I always knew I was Iraqi, and in fact what's shocking is to see, even before I understood anything about the conflict, the ethnic conflict within Israel, I was so terrified of speaking Arabic outside in the street. I was so conscious that the European Jews gazing at us for being different, almost not only making fun of us, but really looking at us with hostility. My father remembers that when he went to work in the early days after arriving to Israel, and there were some other Iraqis, and they were speaking in Arabic, and their Ashkenazi European Israeli boss was saying, "You're speaking Arabic? This is not an Arab state. This is Israel. We speak here Hebrew." So in a sense, the policing, this was among colleagues, friends. There was a policing from the very beginning of our cultural identity and our belonging, and in a sense those kind of experiences became so traumatizing that we internalized that voice or gaze, not to listen to Arabic music, not to speak Arabic. But at the same time, we continue doing it at home. So in a sense, I often talk about it as a kind of a schizophrenic existence, as kind of a split personality. You're trying to live to a certain kind of Euro-Israeli ideal of identity, while at the same time in your community, you're practicing something completely different.
My mother was very interested in assimilating into Israeli society, which really meant assimilating into Ashkenazi society. So it was very important to her that we live among European Jews. Therefore, we lived in a very white, what I would say white, Ashkenazi neighborhood in Tel Aviv. The schools were considered to be good. The housing was considered to be respectable. What had happened to me growing up in that neighborhood was that I felt very alienated and very disconnected from my own roots. And it was really living some kind of a schizophrenic life where I would come home and my parents conversed mainly in Arabic, but also in Hebrew, some kind of a mixture. But I came from playing or being around European children and European teachers, and the gap was very pronounced. The only time that I felt good as a child, when I felt comfortable and accepted, was when I used to go and visit my grandparents, who lived in a suburb of Tel Aviv, in Holon. There it was comfortable. They played Arabic music, they ate their Iraqi food, my grandmother would cook, they would converse in Arabic, and they never questioned if I was smart or not. They accepted me for who I was, and that was my saving grace, really.
بعد أن سقط عدد كبير من اليهود في بغداد، ولكن لم يتحركوا نحو المطارات، فبدأت الحركة الصهيونية بوضع عبوات ناسفة بجانب أو بقرب محلات يهودية، وآخرها كانت الكنيسة مسعودة شمطوب، حيث رموا قنبلة يدوية، وكانت القنبلة من نوع القنابل اللي كدسوها في الكنائس، الحركة الصهيونية كدستها، وكانت من نفس النوع. بعدين كان نوع من المواد المتفجرة موجود بس عندهم، لأنه العراق ما كان عنده هذاك الوقت من هالنوع هذا، جابوه من إسرائيل واستعملوه الأعضاء الصهاينة في بغداد. يا جماعة والنبي
I do call on my Arab friends, as much as I called here on my Ashkenazi Jewish friends, to take this issue very seriously. And so when we have discussion about racism toward Middle Easterners here, or when we have a celebration of the history of the Arab world, or when we have discussion of diasporic identities here in North America, let's not forget to be inclusive about this issue. Especially, and I definitely think about the whole question of the Israeli-Arab conflict. I think it sometimes saddens me to see that some Arabs prefer to speak to European Israelis. Sometimes I don't know if it is another way of internalized colonialism, where the European Jew somehow is seen to be representing not only more power, but also the educated. Sometimes I find it is very ironic, just as among some Arab Jews, I find internalized colonialism and racism toward Arabs and the sucking up to European Jews. I sometimes ironically find it among Arabs and among Palestinians. And especially ironically in the elite. We have to try to all transcend this kind of mechanisms in which or the kind of entrapment in which we're caught, where we end up believing the stereotypes and in a weird way contributing to our own self-hatred. And we have to put that on the table. And yes, ask why is it when there are discussion of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, when we consider liberal or leftist voices, that somehow they tend to have white faces.